My next shit you couldn't make up is something that was kind of sprung on all of us, and I think the teams knew because they were trying it out in spring training. But have you heard about PitchCom? It's the system where a catcher hits some signs on his wrist, and then the pitcher and usually the second baseman and shortstop get the signal.
I have heard of PitchCom, but I did not hear about it until maybe the day before or the day of opening day. It was kind of
Suddenly,
sprung on the world.
yeah, Lucas Giolito and Yasmani Grandal were using PitchCom that day. The White Sox used PitchCom in that game.
They had some issues in that game.
Well, that's the funny part about it. Apparently, in the back of the cap, and I'm doing a visual on the video, but there's a receiver that slips in back here, and it actually it's a speaker, so they actually hear what the pitch is. So
fastball inside.
Pretty soon you're gonna see the Astros are gonna have like those big old megahorn things coming out of their ears,
parabolic mic.
Yeah, like why are they holding that microphone up like that? But I believe it was when Kendall Graveman was on the mound. He all of a sudden there was the second baseman came in, Harrison, and then I think Lurie was shortstop that day because Tim was serving the suspension. And then all four umps came in, and he's got his hat off, and I'm like, and
the crowd was getting pissed too.
Yeah,
there's a lot of cascade of boos.
Yeah,
and
he's got his hat off, and they're looking at his hat. And don't you think, speaking of new technology, the umps have the opportunity to speak to the crowd and let them know what's going on?
We'll probably get deeper into that aspect of baseball this year at some point, because that's going to be hilarious.
But yes, instead
they have a way to communicate now, and it's not being communicated.
Yeah, but instead of letting, I was like, oh shit, does he have a substance or something?
That's the first thing I thought. I thought they were checking his hat for sticky stuff.
Every ump is in there. Like then La Russa comes out of the dugout, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And it turns out that eventually everyone figures out what's going on, because all of a sudden Grandel is throwing down signs.
Yeah.
And he hadn't been all game, and then they were like, oh, it's a PitchCom malfunction within the cap.
They figured it out on the Detroit broadcast, but I wouldn't be surprised if the fans had no idea, because again, I didn't hear about PitchCom until maybe opening day, maybe the day before. But it's possible there's a large percentage of people that had no idea that he even has a speaker in his hat, let alone that it's malfunctioning, because no one is going to tell anyone what's happening. And let's have the goddamn microphone right there.
The microphone system is much more for the fans at the game than it has any to do with anyone watching on TV. Because on TV, we have access to multiple replays. Yeah. You have announcers there. You can kind of figure out what's going on in the game. That announcement is to let the fans know at the game what's happening. Because I know multiple times you and I, if one of us, we know someone's at the game and can't figure out what's going on or whatever. Like I've texted you from a White Sox game being like, what happened?
Oh,
like, what actually happened? Like no one knows here at the ballpark.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't just have to use it when you're doing an instant replay.
Well, they don't want to use it at all, is what
I know. They're not actors.
They're fighting it. You can tell.
They're not actors.
You can tell when they're even having to speak, they're doing it through gritted teeth. So the idea that they would go on above and beyond and try to explain to the crowd what's happening is not going to happen. So
we're not here for entertainment purposes. No. Well, that's good. At least you know that. But unfortunately, you are. Yeah,
this is entertainment.
Yes. So. But yeah, that's PitchCom. I like it so far. It looks like when Lucas was using it in like it was going fast. It was like Burley type pace. So, I mean, I think it can. The Giants are totally using it. They've used it every game.
Well, that's the other interesting thing about PitchCom. It was barely announced, but it's not universally applied. You don't have to use it. Some teams are, some teams aren't. The Tigers are not, and they specifically said it slowed down their process, which I thought was really interesting. I hadn't heard that before, and the whole point of it was to make it simpler. And I had heard the same thing. The other teams find it faster, but somehow somehow it screwed whatever the system the
Yeah,
Tigers
right.
had.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we don't know all the subtleties of it, and that's why it's not universally implemented, because they can't force it on anybody. But I think it makes sense. I think it's a great idea, and I think we're seeing that it's got bugs that need to be worked out. I think Dylan Cease got booed the next day because he had an issue with the receiver, or the battery had an issue where they had to get him a new battery. He got booed incessantly. So I think by then Tigers fans at least knew what was happening, but it was just fun to boo Dylan Cease.
Boo! You own us. Boo!
Yeah, it sucks. Anything they could do to change that mojo.
Word Hole Media.